Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and there are quite a damn lot of Phantasm movies, so let's take a look at them! Sometimes I worry that reviewing a long series back-to-back might get a bit samey as the weeks go on, but I don't think that's going to be the case with Phantasm II. This is the first one of the series to be produced under Universal Studios, and had the largest budget of any film in the series. As such, it was subject to the harshest studio interference as well, as Don Coscarelli had to make more than a few concessions just to get the green light in the first place. Such as the fact that this is the only movie in the series that does not have a Michael Baldwin playing Mike. Except in stock footage. They got a whole new guy for Mike. Don actually wanted to get both Reggie and Mike back to play Reggie and Mike, but Universal didn't want either Reggie or Mike back to play Reggie or Mike, so they had a compromise. Keep Reggie, fuck Mike. Which I guess is slightly better than simply cutting the actors in half, but another thing the studio demanded was a more traditional structure, so instead of a romp down insanity lane, the movie is a story about how Reggie and I Can't Believe It's Not Mike set out to find the tall man and put an end to his reign of terror for good. Which means I'll probably have a lot easier of a time figuring out what the plot is now. But is that really a good thing? Well, let's take a look at Phantasm II and find out. We open to a brand new character, who also just so happens to be in the movie only because the studio demanded it. Liz, played by Paula Irvine. She's tormented by mysterious dreams, which she conveniently has been instructed to keep down in a handy-dandy notebook, complete with a voiceover, illustrations, and movie flashbacks to the ending of the original Phantasm, with a couple changes. I mean, you're not supposed to scream and break shit until the bridge, Mike! The biggest change, of course, is the fact that it keeps going past the final scare. Reggie Bannister goes for a shotgun, but it's not loaded. To make matters worse, he's having a hell of a time actually finding where the shells are. Also, the Jawa's faces are far freakier this time around. It's amazing what you can do with a barrel, a corpse, and some latex. Not being able to load the thing, Reggie simply uses the gun to beat the ever-loving fuck out of the minuscule murderer. That strategy looks far less feasible once he finds out the whole troop is surrounding him. However, perhaps he can just put out the pilot lights and pump up the gas. Now that this trap is set, he's got to figure out how the hell to take out the tall man. I'm not sure why it took him so long to realize that the Maplewood Slugger might have a slightly higher DPS than the Woven String. Then again, he doesn't have to worry about the tall man, and maybe a tennis racket could have taken out the Jawa just the same. The point is, he gets Mike's body double, Lori Loughlin, out of there in a hurry. Because like a lot of movies, they fuel the stoves with goddamn nitroglycerin. But it was all just a dream! Of Liz, as we establish she's reading this from her dream journal, and as we see when Mike awakens in a psychiatric hospital, now played by James Lee Gross, and we establish that the extended ending after he woke up from the dream in the first movie was also just a dream.
What could he do? I mean, the dreams have really just taken hold of me. Just tell him what he wants to hear.
And don't worry, the studio also made sure that there was plenty of thought voiceovers, just in case the audience was too stupid to figure out the scenes on their own, and didn't realize that when Mike is telling the psychiatric doctor that he really accepts that his dreams were fake and there's no real connotations, he doesn't actually believe that. Yay. Because it's not like we could have figured that out on our own after he receives his clean bill of mental health, only to head right out to a cemetery and start digging up graves. Something that's a common enough habit of his that Reggie Bannister catches him in the act.
Look at this, goddammit! Now that's the third one I dug up.
Well, because digging up graves is so damn easy in movies. Of course, it is still hard to establish his plot point if his arms give out and he collapses from exhaustion halfway down the first hole. Reggie still doesn't believe those insane rantings, though. He's only trying to keep Mike's head down so he doesn't get dragged off to the loony bin for the rest of his life. No bother, they can head home, where Reggie says there's all kinds of great friends over to have a lovely dinner, which sets Mike off in short order.
We gotta get the people out of your house, man. The gas in there's gonna go up and it's gonna blow!
And if that blast looks familiar, it's because they could only really afford to blow up the house one time, so they just set up a whole bunch of cameras around it and filmed it all at the same time with every person in the right spot in the scene. Which, honestly, is pretty impressive, cheaper to do than blowing up multiple houses, and cinematically more effective. With the deaths of 3 beloved characters, who we never see, Reggie decides since Mike knew it was going to happen, his visions must be true. Thus they head out on a road trip to track the tall man down and take him out. First things first, let's break into a hardware store and stock up on all the essentials, such as a motherfucking chainsaw! Also, there's next to no security here, so plenty of time to get in a montage to craft some custom gear while they're at it. Such as the goddamn quadruple barrel sawed-off shotgun. I feel like this series can piss me off in whatever way it likes from here on out. At the very least, they gave us quadruple barrel sawed-off shotguns. That, plus a handy-dandy flamethrower, test-fired indoors, of course, and they've got everything they need. Okay, Reggie, that's a nice gesture and all, but I'm pretty sure the two of you stole way more than $200 worth of shit. Trying to track down the tall man might be a bit easier than you would think, though, as he tends to focus on less populated areas, and they don't look all that great once he's been through them.
Small towns are like people. Some get old and die a natural death. Some are murdered.
And some out there luck out with natural resources and location and strike it rich and become huge technological monstrosities spreading far and wide and consuming all the people around them to grow even further. It looks like they're far too late to save this place, but they've bothered to come all the way out, so they might as well check for clues. The Ravaged Cemetery appears to be a dead giveaway of the tall man's work, pun very much intended. But still, they decide to check the funeral parlor for anything else. It's loaded with your generic spooky horror props, but nothing really out of the ordinary if you ask me. Spare perhaps the naked dead woman on the slab, who Mike feels the need to get a good look at shortly before he hears something outside. But don't expect them to get jumped by a naked dead woman anytime soon, though. It's a shame. Naked dead women running around is part of what made The Evil Dead such a fun franchise. The cute corpse isn't important, though. Reggie found something. Upon closer examination, it's Liz! Except, of course, upon even closer examination...
You play a good game, boy.
Freddy, what the fuck are you doing in this movie? Dropping a hint to come east before being burnt to a crisp. Now, this doesn't mean Liz is dead, mind you. That wasn't Liz, just a phantasm. A phantasm that required immolation, but whatevs. The point is, they head east, and we see ourselves that Liz is perfectly fine as she's heading to her grandfather's funeral, along with her grandmother, played by Ruth C. Engel. What mysterious town is this tall man hiding in? Paragord, Oregon. Oh, so much for that mystery. No bother, the tall man has got two new goons this time around. One played by Mark Major, the other by, someone that neither IMDb nor the Wikia fan page nor the end credits of this movie itself felt necessary enough to list. Well, at least Father Myers, played by Kenneth Tygar, was able to get his name listed. The wake for the grandfather, played by Ruben Kushner, is great and all, but we had a wake last movie and Liz decides to look elsewhere for horror excitement. Like the giant fucking crypt attached to the church. I get the feeling the original Diablo took a lot of architectural inspiration from the Phantasm series. Being surrounded by death is creepy and all, but the real scare is when she spots the scuttering of one of those damn Jawas.
Damn. It's not a dream.
Thank you, voiceover. I'd hate to have to talk to my friends about the meaning behind this scene. It seems that Father Myers here knows a bit more about the oddities that have befallen this town, though, and immediately after the ceremonies are over, walks up to the body, saying a few words, but more importantly, stabbing the fuck out of Grandpa's corpse! Okay, was it the stabbing, her fall in love part that overwhelmed her, or the crazy-ass look from the priest? Whichever it was, it didn't catch the attention of Liz, who has gone deeper into the crypt, noticing a coffin in the hallway that looks like it was taken from the ground recently, and had been there so long good luck reanimating what's left in it. She goes to investigate.
Graveside service is about to begin.
Only to be interrupted by a nostalgic jump scare. Also, is it just me, or is the tall man wearing a little something on his lips this time around? We have plenty of time to double-check, considering the pin she had was stabbed right through his finger, showing us all that the man has yellow blood, like the first movie established. Oh well, we move on to see the priest made it home, mostly intact, spare his boozing to try to deal with the stress. Or the memories, or maybe he's just trying to conk out before any more weird shit happens. But there's someone knocking on the door. So just close the peephole and forget about it. You got your shambling zombies, your running zombies, and now you got your ding-dong-ditch zombies. As that's not important, we've got to go over to Grandma's house, where she too is having trouble sleeping, what with weird sounds keeping her up at night. That's the kind of face to put the romance back in neck. Didn't I already do this joke in another review? Why does zombie sex keep coming up so often? So she's fucking dead. In more ways than one. And when Mike awakens, we find out that while he was asleep, Reggie picked up a hitchhiker, which Mike coincidentally dreamed about being dead, Alchemy, played by Samantha Phillips.
Kimmy for short.
I would have thought Al would be a bit easier. And shorter. And ironically less weird. Mike isn't happy with this turn of events and demands they stop to pee. Naturally, this lets him have a private conversation with Reggie. The kind you have with your privates out. He saw Alchemy dead in a dream, so he fears she's in danger.
So she's in danger with us or without us. Or at least with us, we can protect her, right? I mean, isn't that logical?
But of course, the kind of protection Reggie's thinking about comes in latex. As luck would have it, Kemi here is headed down to Paragord, which is exactly where our heroes were heading anyway. Over in that little town, however, Liz is just discovering her grandmother is no longer in the house, but her needle is there, complete with yellow blood.
If you want her, come tonight.
I guess the tall man realizes that he's dealing with characters in a horror movie, so they probably need a little help in order to keep the plot moving. I mean, it's not like she could just go, and we understand that there's more than enough reasons for Liz to check the funeral home. You gotta explain these things slowly and painfully to the audience. But while she's following the needly message, Mike and Reggie reach Kemi's family's bed and breakfast, which, no surprise here, is closed. Sure, Liz was going around Paragord earlier and it looked okay, but now it looks like the small town from before, an uninhabited wreck. No bother, they can break in and spend the night anyway. God damn, college pranks were pretty fucking extreme in the 80s. Oh, no, they're just setting up some defenses so the house can be reasonably safe. Against a foe who can teleport anyway, but ignore that for now. The men head out to find the tall man, while Liz is already in the morgue, observing how not only do certain bodies have their genitalia obscured by convenient towels, but the people here strangely drain the bodies of blood before pumping them full of Red Bull. She's not the only one snooping around, though. Father Myers is here as well, because we gotta up the body count somehow. Come to think of it, Phantasm seems a lot simpler than I initially thought. The main thing is this. If you don't want to die, stop hanging around in mortuaries. The tall man does what horror movie icons tend to do with priests. Laugh in the face of their impotent god. Thing is, he doesn't out and kill the man just yet. We've got to introduce another tool for that job. The chrome ball is back, and it brought friends. I guess what was missing was a good witness, so Myers tracks Liz down shortly before the balls close in. Which not only come in greater numbers in this film, but also have an expanded arsenal of tricks. Why just drill a man's brain out when you can torture him first? That and the fact that the brain drilling is a step down in this film, believe it or not. No odd fake skin flaking, because there's no penetration in the close-up. The sphere spews far less blood, and overall Father Myers' death isn't nearly as impressive, much like Liz's skill at hiding compared to Mike's.
Okay. And goodbye.
Fortunately for her, though, the tall man isn't in any rush to slaughter the main cast. You gotta reach that 90-minute mark after all. Meaning he just walks the fuck off, leaving the tormenting task to Liz's grandmother, now transformed into a Jawa. Being old, short, and dead, however, it doesn't take much to defeat her, allowing Liz to escape, fleeing back into the cemetery. Only to be grabbed by Psycho Mantis! Or Mike, who likes to combine the classic friend grabbing friends from behind instead of saying hello scare with an unnecessary gas mask, just to fuck with her. However, before he can finish fucking with her, Reggie interrupts, and they all retreat back to Alchemy's bed and breakfast, and booby traps. The plan is still to go forth and kill the tall man, but you know what? Fuck it. It's been a long-ass day. Let's just head up to bed. Alchemy and Reggie head up for some fucking, while Liz and Mike enjoy some psychic pillow talk.
I love you.
Your lips aren't moving.
We're dreaming.
Wow. This is great.
Yeah, they happen to be able to talk to each other in their dreams. Think of it like the Dream Warrior's dream powers, except without nearly as much thought put into it or any kind of usefulness to the overall plot. Her establishing herself as a love interest for Mike because that's her job, is juxtaposed against the fully clothed Reggie play-fucking the shit out of Alchemy and her unmoving unmentionables. However, this is interrupted when suddenly they hear the home security grenade go off.
Get it, Mike. There's nobody out here. It's like Kimmy's uncle had a cat or a dog or something.
Movie? Are you trying to make me hate these characters? However, now that they're distracted and scattered, the tall man swoops in to kidnap Liz. This means we get our car chase, and Mike and Reggie leave Alchemy all alone in hopes to save Liz from certain doom.
Well, shoot the fucker!
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we were going for the high-speed staring contest. Unfortunately, the quad-barreled wrist breaker can't be utilized because they just end up crashing the car anyway. This means instead of saving Liz, the two men must escape immolation. Liz, on the other hand, is being brought over to the crematorium for her own immolation. Son of a bitch, they cremated Sam Raimi? Now who's gonna teach emo Spider-Man how to dance? Before the heroes find her, they find that little room she found early with the Red Bull embalming machine. Knowing it's to reanimate the dead, Reggie decides to spike the concoction with an ass ton of hydrochloric acid. Also, they take note of a strange concave keyhole that will obviously be important later. Sure, they're not in much of a rush to save Liz, but that's okay. Goons are always terrible at their jobs, and the lack of restraints on the woman allows her to easily escape death by cremation. Okay, now all we need to see is him try to grab her and end up accidentally cremating himself, and the inept goon trifecta is complete. Close enough. Of course, that wasn't the only goon. Also, so far as I can tell, the quantity of non-Jawa goons has suddenly increased as there is one waiting for Reggie as he explores down below, but when Liz is being chased down by a shiny ball of death, dodging it along with the help of Mike, another one pops up to try to capture her again. And while the head drilling scene was lackluster compared to the original, at least there's a lot more ball action in this movie. There's no way to say that without it sounding weird. Also, this movie introduces the giant fucking gold ball, which legend has it was nicknamed Rambo on set. Not going to find out why just yet. Everyone either runs away or chops their own limbs off and then runs away. Oh well, this just means we get to check out how Reggie is doing in the basement. Finding the goon, they wind up in a battle. One with Reggie isn't doing that great in, but it's cool. He's got a motherfucking chainsaw! Nope, he's fucked. But we're going to have to leave it at that as we suddenly teleport back to Liz and Mike running for their lives away from the gold sphere. The first few doors do fuck all to stop it, but the last one has a latch, which somehow matters. However, it's not enough to stop the hatchet-wielding mortician, who yet again grabs a hold of Liz. Okay, you know what? Other than the priest, the balls have only ever killed the tall man's own goons. That's really not a great track record. Either way, it doesn't look like he's going to be walking away from this one as the sphere revs up and burrows deep into his back, tearing the goon apart from the inside. There's very little blood in this kill, but it still doesn't look particularly comfortable.
Come on, Mike, let's go, okay?
Still doesn't impress Liz, though. She's got balls of steel. We finally get to see how that fight with Reggie is going, though. As we could have guessed, he shows the bad guy it's not the size that counts, but how you use it, and chainsaws that motherfucker right in the dick. Not sure if it killed him, but he certainly isn't going to be doing any fighting after that one. However, on the way out, Reggie is followed by 4 Jawas. Oh, way to go, you had a motherfucking quad-barrel shotgun, and you used it a total of 1 time before just throwing it away. At the very least, pass it off to Ash or something. Now that all the fighting is over for the moment, the heroes regroup and decide that the best thing to do is to investigate the ball-locked door. Pulling out of their ass that somehow being embedded in flesh already makes the spheres relatively safe to handle, they take the handy-dandy sphere pinning a hand to the wall in their hands, and handily handle the peculiar keyhole. Oh my god. It's hiding the same damn shit from the first movie! Could have gone for a slightly more shocking revelation there. You've got your clean white room, the barrels full of Jawas, and of course the tube holes that create a portal to the tall man's world where the reanimated crushed dead are used as slaves. The problem is the second time around is hardly surprising.
Let's torch this place and get the hell out of here.
But this time the tall man himself comes by to fuck things up for our heroes. Really make me wonder why he's bothering with the Jawas at all in this movie. I mean, yeah, he needs slaves for his planet, but they're not really getting that much screen time. At least until he throws Mike and Reggie through the portal, revealing the same world we saw in the first movie, which they struggle to escape, while the tall man straps Liz down to be injected with the yellow blood, not realizing his machine has been sabotaged with hydrochloric acid. No bother, before he manages to get that far, Mike tells the guy just what he can do with his balls.
Suck on this.
Okay, so the tall man doesn't control the balls? Or he does, but so can Mike, I guess? I mean, they have a knack for killing bad guys anyway, so there's that. But the ball doesn't kill the tall man, only drill out his cranium. There's more to him than meets the eye. Like brainworms. Or the brainworm is him, maybe? You know, fuck, we've reached that part of the Phantasm movie where it's best for me to just not question anything and just let it be. As boring through his cerebrum did nothing, Liz jabs him with a yellow blood tube, which she doesn't know is full of acid, but fortunately for her turns out to be full of acid. Thus the tall man horrifyingly melts away as he is disintegrated from the inside out. This means Reggie can burn the whole fucking place to the ground, and they can escape into the night. Right into the spare hearse that Alchemy stole on the way over, providing a very convenient getaway for the gang. Except, of course, this is the ending of a Phantasm movie.
I've been thinking about it.
And therefore nothing is safe, nobody lives, everybody dies! And it's probably just a fucking dream sequence anyway.
It's a dream.
It's only a dream.
No, it's not.
Huh. Well, I stand corrected. Anyway, that was Phantasm II. And it made more sense than the first movie. And is that really a good thing? Yes, I bitched and moaned about how little sense the first Phantasm made, but while I scored that particular movie rather low, that was more for the low-quality acting and subplots that go nowhere. This time around, the movie is a lot more solid, the acting much better all around. I mean, it's still pretty bad, but it's way better than the first, and it's a lot easier to understand. Maybe too easy. Aside from the condescending nature of voiceovers here and there explaining the plot in case we can't figure it out from the more visual scenes, there's a distinct lack of twists this time around. Not just for a Phantasm movie either. Most of the things that come up that should be surprises are the same things that were revealed in the first movie. This means we go through 90 minutes of movie without really getting any of our old questions answered, or even getting any new questions to go on top. I mean, there are a few surprises and explanations here and there, don't get me wrong, but I don't think a feature film was needed to establish the headworm thing and the yellow blood transfusion machine. Outside of those two revelations, what else was there that really added to the mythos? It's still a fun enough horror movie, though. When you've got chainsaw duels and a motherfucking quadruple-barrel sawed-off shotgun, it's hard to say they didn't try to make the movie entertaining, but the somewhat simple setup keeps the film at a very average 3 balls of ever-painful death out of 5. It's an okay movie that fans of horror should like well enough. I'm just not sure, with as simple as it is, fans of Phantasm will really like it. So, thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado, and remember, always double check your beer cans for grenades. Those damn frat boys don't know when to quit!
We're dreaming.